Loose River, right outside of Havelock.
Yeah, that's close to us.
Yeah.
We're in the Pamlico River, just above the Neuse River.
First thing we're going to be using, thermal imaging. So why would we want thermal imaging in a ghost hunt? It's interactive, guys, I promise. And this is what it looks like. I'm going to go through what it actually does. Not hot, but
Cold spots.
cold spots, right. We're literally looking for the old adage of cold spots. So you guys should be able to see me in there, right? Red, orange, and yellow guy. So everything around me is going to be somewhat blue or black. So obviously we're looking for those blue and black spots to move on their own. Does this capture something every night? It does not. I get about 4 solid pieces per year on this guy. But if I'm not recording hundreds of hours, we're not going to find it. So again, we're going to try to keep somebody's skin tone in there, because if I leave the picture, everything else turns red, orange, and yellow. So again, we're going to be the warmest thing out here, so we want that variance. This is a FLIR Pro 1, so that basically means that this is a tool for a fireman. So like, this is the real deal here. I also put a blue dot on there that shows you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. It bounces around the screen constantly. So it kind of helps us find where that coldest spot might be and where something might be moving for us. So whoever uses this also has a cheat sheet with the bar here on the left. That bar on the left gives us the highest temperature and the lowest temperature. We like to see those bigger differences, obviously. So if it should be about 62 to 64 ambient. But if we see something drop down into the 40s or even the 30s, we obviously have something going on. So again, that little bar is not in your recording. You will get this full video back. So it does record audio as well. So it's another form for EVPs to listen for. So Allison, I think we're going to go with you on this one. Okay. So you're going to keep that horizontal all night with the camera on your left. So we're going to do a couple of starts and stops throughout the night, only because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. It is really, really bad. So if we record for too long, we lose all footage. So again, I'll give you the cues for the starts and stops. Yes, you're recording right now because I want everybody to have that explanation of the blue dot at the very beginning. So that's why I start the recording right away. So we're going to go more into that at the first location. Let's see here. How do I want to go about doing this? Let's get into the next camera. Just for a brief moment. Just so that we have a camera on each crew. Are you right or left-handed?
Right.
Perfect. Okay, so let me demonstrate what this guy does here. The way we've designed this. So you should not be able to see me in this camera. They're too busy playing with their phones. So you should not be able to see me in this guy. It should be pretty dark, right? I know it's a small screen. We're going to turn on some lights. We're working with infrared lighting here. Bless you. Lights you can't see with your own eyes. So the hope here is that we're going to capture something we cannot see with our own eyes. So we're going to also do starts and stops with yours, but there's a lot that goes into this whole entourage. So I'll show you more about that. We're not recording yet, but kind of get used to how it handles and that kind of thing. It's not heavy, it's a little bit awkward. Let's see. Spirit boxes. We're going to use a couple different types of spirit boxes tonight. You already brought an EMF meter, so I'm going to keep mine in the bag. Okay. So that way you can probably put yours in a breast pocket, and that way we can kind of all see it if you want to go about doing it that way. But yeah, that way it'll kind of give us more instead of me handing out EMF meters and the way that works. So spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. It's going to sweep through the FM radio stations at a quick rate. Like you guys hear on TV, it's usually the white noise. This one's a little bit different. It's slowed down. I want the radio chatter to come through. You guys aren't used to listening to white noise for long periods of time. The radio chatter, if you can make anything out of it, it could be related to the person that I'm talking about in history, something going on with one of us, or the location of where we are. So again, every little thing that you can possibly hear out of this, it could be related. It's a 50-50 shot. So the nice thing about this one in particular is that it records the entire session for us, even on mute. So Alan, when you have this, I am going to give you a set of earbuds so you can keep one in and still listen to me at the same time. Okay. I'm going to give you guys the recording back tomorrow, and I'm going to spot check it along with giving you of whatever he hears throughout the night, because I'll be writing those down in case I miss them in the spot check, so that we kind of have two resources going through it before you even get a chance to. Now with that said, I'm going to give you about 15 to 20 markers that are either relevant or not relevant. If they are relevant, obviously I'm going to tell you why, and then give you the backlink to verify the info. So again, you're going to have a lot of notes in there of things that I type up for you so you guys can actually go through it. So the only thing you have to worry about, sir, is the volume button. It's right here at the top. It is a wheel.
Okay.
Go ahead and pull a set of earbuds out of there. I don't want them back.
I'll take that one.
Yeah, I don't want them back. Earwax is gross. So the hole for that guy is on the right-hand side.
Okay.
So I'll let you get that set up and squared away. Justin, do you want one like that too? No? Well, you're going to get something.
Just keep the simplest thing for me. He's better than I am.
You tech savvy?
Yeah, he's very much more than I am.
All right, we'll give you the same kind then, Justin. Only yours will not record. So we're going to rely on you of whatever you hear to be able to relay it back so I can write it down.
Did you hear that?
I'm trying to find a wheel on that.
So
got
if
this,
you
buddy.
hear
You
something,
just have to unravel these.
Let
The
him
volume
know.
button is right here. It's a wheel
did you find it?
and not the button.
There you go.
So you don't have to just worry about the wheel. So there's a little twist tie on there, so you have to take that off so you can put an earbud in.
So what is he listening to?
Any kind of radio chatter that comes up. So if a DJ comes through and it says Big John, obviously it might be related because we're at Big John's. Do you see where I'm going with that? That's what we're kind of going for. And you might want to unravel the thing so you don't have to keep it so close.
No, I can't
So
see
they
it.
should let you know basically anything they can make out.
Anything you
Okay.
can make out. The tiniest thing could be relevant, and you don't know what it is. Because I will withhold information throughout the night, so that way you're not getting subliminal messages from me.
Okay.
There you go. He's blinded.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So giving him something to use with his ears was probably a good idea.
Yep.
And all he's got to do is feel for that wheel for the volume. Easy.
Charleston.
Yeah, I disregard all of those. All right, last one that's going to come up. Very simple to use. This is another spirit box, but it's going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. This is a phone app. Okay, so it is meant for game and hoax and whatever. 80% of what comes out of this thing is absolute bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. It's the other 20% where I'm like, holy cow, check out this word. It might be relatable to something else that's being heard or something going on with your EMF making it go off, so forth and so on. So we'll talk more about how many pieces I actually, until I say, wow, that's solid evidence. I must have left this guy running a long time. I'm going to clear out last night's tour. They had quite a few. I want to say they had about 100 terms pop up. I usually get about an average about 75 to 85 in a 90-minute to 2-hour tour. So we'll kind of see how this goes. When I want to see the list, I don't want to see every word that pops up. It gives you the list. You just hit the little white scroll to the right of it, and you'll be able to move it through. And I'll come to you when I want to kind of double check on it. So you just hit the circle back, and it brings you back to the main screen. The word drone will not be on your list. You will get the entire list tomorrow because sometimes things come up about y'all, and I don't know y'all like that. So again, for example, one night a girl emailed me and said, the list said cat and then said radar. My cat's name is Radar. So again, she probably brought somebody with her that they wanted to let her know that she, that they were there with us. It's because we had the communication devices. So again, the spirit boxes, we'll talk more about those at the first location. I'm kind of glad you actually brought an EMF because that way I don't have to bring out an extra piece and I get to use more spirit boxes because those are going to bring us more data anyway.
So when you pulled that out, I heard the word hate.
Uh-huh.
So we did listen on the way down today to your podcast in Yorktown. Is that what you were using on the Yorktown?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was at the Yorktown, I didn't have half this gear.
Okay.
So this was obviously built up over time. I know you guys were excited about the new device. It's not even here yet. The wife actually handed me a picture of it. It's the new SLS camera, like the new updated version, which is basically gives you the stick figures. Have you guys seen those on TV?
Yes.
So this is it's a 10-inch tablet, and it does way more than the other one. They're using a different type of camera on it instead of just the old Xbox 360 Connect camera. It's the newer Xbox. It's the Xbox One Connect. So it has way more capabilities, and it's probably going to take me a month before I can introduce it to the tour because I'm going to have to experiment quite a bit. So let's talk about why we're here. Now that everybody's all geared up, this is Big John's. Obviously, it's not open today, but they just reopened just a few months ago. It's kind of a tribute to what it used to be. It used to be called Big John's back in the 50s and 60s. So it was owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. This was his place. He used to sit in the back and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in. They're not old enough to drink. He has the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty pissed off. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. So John sees what's going on, and he gets up away from the bar and just starts beating these guys up, just pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, and the bullet ends up in the wall. That puts John's blood in this building. So whether that bullet hole is still here or not, I don't know because I haven't been back in since the renovations. But John gets up after being shot, and he tells the bartender to get him another beer and get the 2 guys on the floor an ambulance. So nobody dies in that story. What's haunting the place is the bullet hole. Again, allegedly still there. If not, the bullet is still there. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. Just last week, I had a young lady say, we just sat in the front of the bar and I got so sick I couldn't finish my meal. So again, it's all because of the paranormal activity and the EMF, like what you would detect on your meter over there. So that's the only time I've ever gotten EMF in there is in the front of the building. And I do bring this up on purpose as a heated warning. If anybody starts to feel those symptoms throughout the night, I need to know immediately so we can move the whole group to safety and kind of get out of the space. So not to scare anybody, that's probably the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night because it deals with your own health. Let's talk about, did you guys take any other Charleston tours? No? Not at all? No history tours? Nothing?
We have in the past, yeah.
Okay, so we had a big earthquake here in 1886. This building is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. It's a big deal for us because we're on the East Coast, we're not supposed to have earthquakes. So, the mantle you see in the middle of the building, it also wraps around the front. So a piece of it broke off from the earthquake, struck somebody in the back of the head and killed him, and they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I say allegedly a lot with that because I don't have any proof. It's just one of those stories that goes around town, and it's a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. So, because now I put that in the back of your brain, and I can get a headache from this. And everybody usually gets quiet when I do that heated warning. Like, oh man, what did I sign up for? You guys ready to go something?
Yeah. Yes,
All right, let's do this. We're going to go this way, Justin.
How you doing, bud?
You said a warm body needs to be in this all the time, right?
It's just attempted, just to try to keep somebody in.
Got it.
And yours is the only name I'm forgetting.
Scotty.
Scotty.
Yeah. And his name's Jack.
Jackson. I don't know why I keep calling him Justin.
It's okay.
Ooh, it's going to be a long week because I'm packed for the rest of the week.
And
for
what
sure.
was your name?
Nick.
Nick.
See? It's not just me, everybody. So, and he's only got one to remember. So if he calls me Rick, we all know he didn't pay attention.
No.
All right, so every place we go to is going to be the next level up. This place is super simple. The history is really simple. This is usually just a spot where you get to practice with your devices, and I get to show you more tactics with your devices. So this is the big red barn where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. Excuse me. Oh, you're good? You all right?
Mm-hmm. I'm good.
The horses are inside. They can hear us, so if we speak too loudly, they will start kicking those walls. So when I have the lasers out, I definitely don't put any lasers on this building. The history here is super simple. This is where we held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. That's it. So spirit boxes, this is what I tell y'all. When you're asking questions, everybody wants to ask, is somebody here? Like they do on TV. Well, if somebody answers no, that means somebody's here. So we're going to stay away from yes and no questions all night long. You all are here for paranormal proof of some sort. Whether or not you're going to listen or actually hear it, we'll see what happens. But you're going to ask questions you already know the answers to in this space. Like, what color is the big red barn if somebody's here? Obviously, we're going to be looking and listening for the color red. I said looking because we have one that doesn't make any noise. So the color red might not be in the vocabulary for your two spirit boxes that you're listening to. However, fire truck, blood, heart, those three things are specifically red. And cardinal actually just popped up last week. I was like, oh, we'll definitely take that one too. But again, that would be an acceptable answer to me. However, most of the night I'm going to require 2 pieces of some kind of evidence of, something you're hearing in clues, as I'll call them, throughout the night, to kind of verify what's actually happening. So, for example, let's say you have the word art on your word list, and Jackson, here's the number 40. Well, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John. That would be a verifiable set of clues where I can say, okay, that actually makes sense. So I'm always going to look for those double set of clues. We're going to be dealing a lot with the same names of people, so same story, but it might be a lot of Georges in that story, a lot of Elizas, those kind of things. Very common names for colonial and 1800 times. So that's kind of how this is going to go down tonight. This space, as we kind of walk through it, we are going to skip through because it looks like an employee is kind of parking and keeping an eye on things. I mean, we're not doing anything wrong, but for the cameras, again, I think you're getting the gist. You got to try to keep somebody in view. I will also tell you that if you have the sky in view with your camera, that blue dot is going to default to the blue sky because it only measures hard surfaces. It doesn't know what to measure with the sky. So sky out, people in is usually the mantra I give you there. As far as your camera, Miss Beverly, what I'm looking for in that camera is I'm looking for things in the darkness. I should be in somewhat of a purple circle right now. I'm looking for things around that purple circle that should not be there. So any kind of orbs that'll float in and out, I catch quite a few orbs with that camera. And I do kind of inspect it frame by frame when I do get like the lasers out, because sometimes things will pass through the lasers and that camera sees the lasers very clearly. So again, it's a very interesting camera. We are going to start your camera after the next piece of history at the next location. So I'll show you, kind of, you and I will work a little bit more one-on-one. Do we have any words that have been popped
Yes,
up?
I had explosion, then I had Jacob, then I have family, just popped up.
Family likes to pop up here because of the next location that we're going to.
Did you hear that? It said Jacob.
Does Jacob mean something to y'all?
Yeah.
What?
So
it's kind of weird, but
we were in New Orleans probably 5 years ago. We brought our daughter along with us. We went by a spot, I guess it was a boarding school for boys way back in the day, and the school burned.
Okay.
And the tour guide said that people have had spirits that seem to attach them, go back with them. Our daughter was just learning to talk at the time.
Okay.
And when we got home, just weird things started happening, and she had a friend named Jacob Armano. No kid in her daycare named Jacob, anything like that. And
she would wake up and go in the kitchen and say, "Good morning, Jacob," and
I have a video of a bowl. She had a toy, like kids' little type kitchen.
Yeah.
And there was a metal mixing bowl, and she was out of the house. I was watching TV, and our daughter had been asleep for over an hour. And I had video of this bowl just sitting on the floor in our house, going in circles for...
So maybe you brought Jacob with you tonight.
well, when we were over there, he said, "Oh man, I hope we don't hear anything like Jacob."
We already have it. So I do want to hit the button just to
Dude,
see
that's weird.
what's come up and see if anything else comes up. So
I can't
that's
believe-
a possibility. I don't want to
No, you're good. I just thought
discard it.
it's
but I don't
funny
wanna
because he
announce
just
anything.
said it.
Nothing. So 48%.
That was...
Have the two of you heard anything on your spirit boxes before we move on?
I heard go, and I heard simple.
Simple. Okay. I will also tell the two ladies with cameras, people do not like their cars being filmed. We're going to be in spaces where there's going to be parked cars. So just kind of keep them away. You're not going to be filming straight on somebody's license plates. Kind of mentality. Just picture if it were your own vehicle. All right. So I think you all have a good gist of how your devices work. I say we go deep dive a little bit further other than football players and ponies. So let's go back to colonial times. Let's head this way. What do you think, Beverly? We're going to catch something on that tonight?
I actually took a picture of the
I just heard animal.
most haunted house in Williamsburg, and I actually have a picture on my phone of
Animal?
a child in the window.
Nice. So, what I normally tell people is if you can't get anything out of the question, what color is the big red barn? I usually tell them to ask what's inside the barn. And you already heard animal. So it's almost like they preempted it because I'm here 6 days already.
You have to admit that's just weird that you literally said that. What did you say? What if we hear some more, Jacob? Dude.
Alright, welcome to another beautiful spot of Charleston, everybody. It's another parking lot. I told you I'd take you to the places the other tours won't go to because a lot of times there's nothing to see. However, this place used to be something. This used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. It's a pretty big deal for us South Carolinians. Let's go into it. The mansion sat in the front, broad, and we'll talk about why the house sat broad. And when I say broad, it just means that the bigger part of the house faced the street, like what we traditionally build now. That was a pretty big deal back then. We'll talk about that further. Eliza's garden was lined up with the church over there and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So, who the heck were these people? Really annoying. Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Remember I told you we're going to need more than one clue? The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution from South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us, but nobody likes to talk about politics, and you guys are all on vacation, so let's not get into that mess. I will tell you, the Spirit Box team, I'm not going to give you questions like what color's George Washington's white horse, like what we did with the Big Red Barn, right? You're going to get the answers from your Spirit Boxes. So, that way you're not getting messages from me. Eliza married Charles at a young age. I'm not going to tell you what that number is, but it's according to today's standards, not colonial time standards. Okay, so kind of keep that in the back of your brain. The reason why I bring this up is because Charles was over double her age when they got married. So it's a pretty big deal back then, which also signifies the rest of their marriage. So she married him because her father over in England thought he was dying, and he wanted to see all of his kids one last time. Invited her to come back home. Instead, she got married. This is 1744. There's no such thing as a green card or marrying, for citizenship because we're not even a country yet. So she did marry him out of love, and after he died, she did remain a widow. So that kind of tells you about her standards. Now, she was right. Dad didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts and presents to this location because this is where she lived. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. You two are wearing it right now because that's how we use it today. It started right here, but indigo was already in South Carolina from the slave trade. They brought their, culture over here, and she learned from them how to keep it cultivated in our obviously not so warm temperatures all the time. So once she got that all figured out, she moved it to a plantation just north of here in Mount Pleasant, and then calls her dad and says, rice plantations are going downhill. I need some contacts in order to sell this indigo overseas. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. This is something absolutely unheard of for this time frame. I want you to think of the color royal blue. It's named royal blue because indigo was so expensive. That's where that term comes from. So let's get into the fun, weird stuff about Eliza. There's her quick history. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. So one wife died, and 6 months later, he married this Eliza. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. You can ask which Eliza you're talking to by asking what her maiden name is. You can obviously ask about how old she was when she got married, or maybe how old Charles was, and hopefully you'll get an answer. You can ask what happened to the mansion. It's obviously not here. Then you can ask when that tragedy happened. It's obviously a tragedy because it's no longer in existence. There's a clue there. The children, I told you there was at least one. His name was Charles. He was a signer of the Constitution. There's more, but I will ask that you tread lightly with that subject because there is a tragedy among those children that she will not talk about, and all activity will stop. I'm surprised your EMF meter hasn't gone off yet, by the way. So I'll pull mine out and see if we're getting anything, kind of compare the two. But you can ask, what do you got?
I got 4 words that I don't want to lose. So I got spirit, help, right, and daddy.
Danny?
Daddy.
Daddy.
Yeah, daddy.
Okay, we'll see if anything comes up about Daddy. If his name pops up, I'll call that one relevant. Spirit, kind of a loosey-goosey term, a little too vague. Like we're looking for those specific details. As far as the kids, ask what the names are, how many she had, leave it alone. Again, there's a tragedy. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop. Eliza's death. Ask anything you want to. Hey, Eliza, how old were you when you died? What year did you die? What did you die from? Where are you buried? And what U.S. president was a pallbearer at your funeral? These are all very specific questions. Hopefully we get specific answers tonight. Last night, I will tell you, it was really, really light with activity. Until I got through the data the next morning, which was obviously this morning. I found quite a bit more, which brought it up to a normal average a night that I normally find. So again, most of what we see as far as the evidence, 40% comes from the field work, 60% comes out of going through the research the next day. So that's usually how the balance is when I'm going through it. I think that about covers the basis of questions that you guys can ask with your spirit boxes. Again, cameras, I want you to steer away from cars. We're lucky enough the lot is not full tonight, so we have a big open space to work with. I'm going to pull out my EMF meter too, so that way we have something else to follow. What brand is that? I don't think I've ever seen that one.
I don't even know. We've had it a long time.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Beverly,
Any more?
she knows more.
Any more
It
words?
almost looks like an electrician's tool.
No
Is
more.
what that looks like. Yeah.
You just have to watch not crossing
Multitasking, trying to listen to him, listen
Yeah.
to words,
stuff as
then
long as we stay away
trying
from
to keep words in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm going to debunk a lot of that stuff for you tonight.
Yeah, close to really have
Like, that's the basic one they use on TV. I mean, you can already see, like, it's giving me about 15 milligauss just standing here. But I use one that's a lot more accurate. They call it a millimeter.
Yeah, I don't think this is very.
Somebody broke my lens last
That's
week.
what they have on the Yorktown, I think. Is what we use on the Yorktown.
Oh,
This
yeah.
goes to
Which one? These guys?
These.
No, these.
Oh.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I don't even like pulling this one out because it gives us false positives all the time. I like this guy because it's way more accurate.
Oh, yeah.
And this also has a REM pod built in, so it'll detect motion.
You only just cut this one.
Yeah, you can save your batteries. So I'll keep this one in my side bag so everybody can kind of see it. There's nothing on inside my bag to be able to make it go off. So, but I'll keep this one in my side pocket just to see, because we've gotten some super spikes that'll actually supersede our readings from this cheap one in my pocket, and then the one that you have, they probably go up to about 25 milligauss. This one, I've seen it go all the way to 200. In this space, I've seen it go up to 150. So, again, we'll see what we get. Last night we had a 47, which was really nice. Like that's a good reading from this space. And a 47 milligauss is, I always put things in comparison of what's in your home. So that's like all the electricity behind your television set. If it was all on, like you had your Blu-ray player on and your TV and your little Roku stick, like all that stuff running, that's about 40 to 60 milligauss. 150, that's like your microwave on high with the door open. That's how high that'll go. So again, I do a lot of comparisons so that way I can relay it back to you guys and you know what you're actually looking for. So let's get your camera going for sure. I'm going to hit the record button, which is right here at the top. And it'll start flashing. This camera likes to lock up. I don't know why. So if it locks up and your frame freezes, let me know. We'll pop the battery. You will see a flicker every 9 minutes and 26 seconds. It's just making a new file. So you don't have to worry about that being paranormal. And the other thing about your camera is that if somebody gets too close, you can turn the short range off and the long range will still be working for you. So you can use this little red button from time to time if you like, if it's too bright. But yeah, let's spread out a little bit. Let's see what we can capture. Let's do this. Keep telling me what you're hearing, because again, I'm waiting for names. If you said daddy, I heard liver. Yep, any little thing. I'll write down the ones that I feel like are relevant, and that way it'll go in the analysis, so that way I can give you more links to keep following the stories. But I am interested in the fact that Jacob showed up. Do you know anything else about this Jacob?
Do you want me to hit the... I don't know if it's recording.
Oh, it's recording.
Okay.
So the timer, don't worry about it,
Okay.
because if you moved in any way, it did too, and it locks up. I'm worried about the square. As long as that thing's a square on the left, you see the red square?
Yeah.
That's
it's
your
a square.
record button.
Okay, thanks.
When I say stop the video,
Yeah.
it'll turn to a circle.
Okay, got it.
So,
She was giving our daughter a bath, and our daughter just wouldn't stop playing. Said he doesn't like it.
I'm wondering if you guys brought him with you. I'll be curious. What kind of place, what space was he in?
What? You good? Are you good?
I'm a little creeped out.
Are you actually? Babe, I can
Look.
literally, but it was just so funny because you like literally just said that.
Yeah.
I can't believe you said that and then that happened. And you didn't hear him. He was like, car, Jacob, plaid, or whatever the third thing. I was like, what?
I wonder what happened here.
I'm gonna go over here because I need to use.
So I also left the center crosshairs on your camera, so that way if you want to measure something specifically, you can move the camera to put that dot where you want to measure it to kind of see
Okay.
what's going on with it.
Okay.
Also, if you find a cold spot, I can figure out, this has an ambient thermometer in it, so
Oh, okay.
if I can figure out and debunk it right away.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's the only entrance and exit, so if you're watching out filming that car
Oh,
as they kind of get out. Just kind of be casual with the cell phone kind of thing.
got it.
Beverly's is a little bit more difficult to...
Yeah, you wouldn't think
hide.
that was a.
Yeah, there's a 7.6, like that's a pretty decent reading. Yeah, that's the only entrance and exit.
You know, this is public parking.
What's that?
This is public parking.
I don't know if it is or not.
No,
This is private.
This is private.
Ah, private.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't want to get towed.
Maybe it's that one because here says public parking on it.
Yeah.
It might be that one. I don't see a sign.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's almost like she wanted to give you the number so the people know. Last night, the time was super light. She's here last week. Yeah, last night pretty light.
Okay, or anything else?
Who was the U.S. president?
Getting anything out of that? How old are you, man? I have a hard time judging. My 15-year-old daughter is this tall. Like, come on.
He's kind of tall, yes. He's kind of.
You look like you got something to tell me.
Crack.
It's funny, we actually had Japanese show up here last night. It was super weird. Something crack.
There you go.
That's weird.
Well, he's already got like the answer to the number of children.
But that was
Like that popped
Oh,
up
really?
on the word
We
list
talked about
as I was
the
talking about
earthquake.
the kids.
Oh, weird.
On his.
On the word list, yep. It's almost like she's kind of giving us the number to tell us to shut up and don't talk about it anymore.
small.
So, we got to take the clues as
I
they...
asked who the president was.
Okay. Did you get anything?
Think so?
back came up. I asked him
Unfortunately, I can't prove any of it. I've gotten things. Yeah, there's no records. There's some mentioning of golf. Oh, I've looked at the plat when they were here. Oh yeah, it was definitely here. It actually overlapped this immediately. Just because they were, servants for the house, so there was plenty of kids and all that. And there was a mansion, so they probably had to address that and that kind of thing. This was very prominent front, so. He's had a ton of slabs, a ton, because of all that they had. I think 17 properties all over town. This was just hidden corner space here. I sanitize everything, and I try to remember to clean the lens off of there, otherwise they have dots on it. Anything nuts coming up on yours?
Nope, not yet.
Again, you guys can swap too.
It's mostly just like the cars and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and glass is always going to be colder.
Yeah.
I'm sure you noticed that.
Yeah.
So, but you guys can swap among the two of you too. I don't have any more headphones, so you got to take his earwax.
That's right.
But yeah, that SLS camera, like I'm gonna, my bag's gonna be. This thing's already like 50 pounds.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Between
heavy.
the batteries and everything else it carries. Well, I just ordered like a hip bag, so I can put the smaller devices in there.
Oh, yeah.
So that way the SLS will fit into the bottom of this, and then obviously the camera that Beverly's using, it folds up, so it'll go in the top.
Oh.
But that smaller bag, like I'm gonna look like I'm going hiking when I'm meeting up with you guys because there's so much gear. But between the millimeter, I have different other spirit boxes. I keep a digital camera and, lasers. I got all kinds of stuff in this bag.
Cool.
But you guys lucked in too, because once I get it like ready for the tours, prices go up.
Oh.
I mean, prices went up when I added Beverly's camera in.
Mm.
And we're talking about $500-600 a pop.
Yeah.
And I got to keep up the maintenance of it.
Yeah.
So.
And
So
it
yeah, you guys
adds
got
more,
in at a good price.
Has more stuff that you have to go through at the end.
Yeah. Well, what's nice about the SLS is you can record at the moment only, so there won't always be SLS footage. So it'll be very quick for them to hit record when something's there, and I'll be able to splice it together. And then play with it. I'm pretty good with it. You'll be pretty good with it.
Do you see anything yet?
No. Just the glass on the cars and stuff.
Six? Does that have any meaning to anything?
No.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge. I'm gonna write it down anyway because it could be somebody's birthday that I don't know off the top of my head.
13 maybe, you think?
No.
13? No.
13 and 6, but you guys are definitely getting numbers.
Yeah. I just got 6 right before you got 13. So.
Well, here's the thing: is you both have two different numbers. It could be that somebody's birthday was on the 6th, but they died on the 13th. That's why I'm gonna numbers and names normally don't lie. So
I'm getting a lot of music,
yeah,
which is like it's scanning, and
Sure.
then all of a sudden a word will come up, and that's what we're listening for. Right?
Yep.
That word.
I mean, even the song lyrics. So
Really?
oh yeah. So even if you hear like "Dream On," right? Aerosmith's blaring away. I'm gonna write down "Dream On" to see if there was something that's relatable to it.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna teach me stuff as I'm going through the data.
Okay.
It's always a learning curve. We're gonna give it a few minutes just because you guys switched up, and I want to see what else you get out of it.
You want to listen?
6/13 could be June 13th too.
You want to listen?
You want to
Yeah, I
trade?
think
It's up to you.
getting more work.
Okay.
Opening.
I'll trade you.
There's a little wheel right here where my finger is. If you want to turn it up or
Show her how to use it.
Yeah, and I'll show her the little wheel there.
Okay.
So I'm just
Just
keeping
panning nice and
someone-
slow. You're looking at that blue dot, seeing how far down it's going to go. So I'm guessing the ambient temperature out here is going to be about 58 to 62. Like the center crosshairs should be in that range. So anything that's going to drop down to like 45 or below is where I'm going to get excited.
Okay.
Especially
Right now
if it's moving.
Showing 70, high 70s and 80s. I'm guessing just the asphalt here, something probably holding it.
It might. Hit the stop button. Let's reset it. Give it a second.
I don't know if I did.
Okay. Go ahead and tap it. Change.
But now it's down to 65.
Okay. Figured as much. Sometimes it gets warm from being in my car. I mean, it's
Okay.
almost an hour drive for me to get down here, so it's in
Gotcha.
a warm car and my bag and
Where do you travel from?
well, 2 hours a night, bro. I go ghost hunting for a living. Who gives a shit? This is my job. Like, that's where I get to listen to other podcasts and keep learning about Charleston and
Yeah.
you know that kind of thing.
It's a family.
That's second time we've had family pop up?
Something like that.
Because I think family showed up on the word list too. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I didn't realize it right. Word salmon's come up twice. It came up earlier, and it just came up with him again.
On the same list? Or you heard it and then he had it?
Yes, I heard it earlier, and then it just came up again.
It's actually giving me words on here I've never seen before. I've been using this thing for years. Like, I've never seen eyebrowing salmon come up. I don't know what they mean, but I'm going to dive in.
He's got a little something about him.
Uh-huh.
That I don't know. I think he does. Don't you? Would you say something? A little bit.
I've heard weirder things.
I'm not saying
Well,
he's clairvoyant or
one
anything
of them.
like that.
Kind of give you guys an extra minute, and I'll give you the answer.
That's kind of like when we let Scotty home to eat, but he and I
Never mind, that's a can.
He may not
With,
get
like,
any
glasses.
readings.
No,
and I
mine's
can
still
hand
in
it-
my pocket.
Hand it to Jackson and it immediately starts going off.
So I had a couple little spikes. They're little for this location. 7.6, I think, was the highest one, which is still a decent amount, you know, where there's no electrical wiring underneath us kind of thing. So definitely a significant piece. Lots of very interesting terms are coming out of you guys, especially that word list. It's given us terms I've never seen before. What do you have now? Similar. So,
Is that Hebrew?
Yeah.
54, 53. Is that anything?
Is that the game Simile?
Hmm?
There's a game. Isn't there a game called Simile that we used to play in colonial times?
I don't know. But I'm thinking it says similar. So that to
Did
me,
you say similar?
that's what it says, similar.
Oh, similar. Okay, I got you. I thought you said Simile.
But I'm taking that as the names are similar. Eliza L's. So let's get you guys some answers. So Beverly, go ahead and stop your recording. You can stop yours and give your arms a break a little.
Swap. Yeah.
You want to try?
It's up to you.
I don't care.
Yeah, hang on to it.
As long as you can.
You'd have to
It's a
hold
big
it
job.
down.
You got to
Yeah, it's good. It's fine.
For real, tell me if you want it better.
As long as you can.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Okay, real hard. All right, so let's talk about all those questions that I had you guys ask and kind of go about doing it. So Eliza was 22 when she married Charles, who was 45. None of you came up with those two answers. I would like to show you at least what happened here at the mansion. First and foremost, it caught fire in the Great Fire of 1861. This is where you're standing right now. So again, when I say Great Fire, every tour guide tells you about a fire in Charleston and whatever year it happened in. This is what Eliza looked like, just so you guys know who you were trying to speak to. Very prominent woman, very English, gaunt face, got the blue indigo royal dress on, so kind of signifies what she was all about. The Great Fire of 1861 actually started up the street a little bit, came down here, did that to the mansion that I just showed you, and then literally went to the other side of the peninsula. This was a giant fire. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars, and that was in 1861, obviously, so that was the Great Fire of 1861. So it was almost 70 years after Eliza's death. So let's get into Eliza's death, which is where things get a little weird. Eliza was 70 years old when she died. That was in 1793. She died from breast cancer. We didn't even know what breast cancer was. We're going based off her medical records that we can view now. So with that, she was going to Philadelphia for treatments for whatever they thought she had. That's where she died. That's also where she's buried. That's why we go to places like this. Cemeteries don't actually give you a whole lot of activity, believe it or not. You're not going to hang out where you're buried. It's just that simple. You're going to go to your mansion 400 miles away. So that's why we come to spaces like this. As far as the president goes, I did play a little word trick on you. When we got here, I told you I'm not going to give you questions like, what color is George Washington's white horse? Well, there's your answer to the question of who the pallbearer was. I do that on purpose because I want to see who's going to be subject to subliminal messaging. It's the only word trick that I play on you all night, and you all passed with a fail. So good job. Nobody gave me the answer of George Washington. So, that's a joke. I do that on purpose. Let's see, the children. There were 4 of them. We got that as I was telling you not to poke the bear with the kids. We did get the number 4. I'm taking that as here's your answer, but leave it alone. There's 4 of them. Charles, that I told you about, signer of the Constitution. Then there was Thomas, Revolutionary War hero. Fought in the Battle of Camden, shot in the left leg, and was captured with that shot in the leg, left him on a cane the rest of his days. You see all these word clues that I'm looking for? When I hear, like, you know, if the name Thomas comes up, I need something else to kind of signify that that's going to be Thomas himself, instead of just a random Thomas that showed up. So, the next child was the tragedy. His name was also George. Weird thing about George is his death certificate has the same birth and death, month and year. So we don't know if he was days old or if he was weeks old. However, he did have a name without being baptized. He wasn't old enough to be baptized. But he was named after Eliza's father. So there's 3 different Georges that we're dealing with. The president, the father, and the son. The interesting thing about baby George is that during those times, and based on Eliza's religion, it's a possibility that they kept the baby here, mummified, waiting for the mom to pass, so that way baby George could be buried with his mother. So that's why I asked, don't poke the bear with that, and there's not enough information on the web for me to find that says that that's actually true. The last child, her name was Harriet. She lived in Horry County, which is Myrtle Beach, which you guys should already know, because she married in Horry. That's why she lived there. It wouldn't have been a car ride to go see her daughter. It would have been lots of letter writing. So I looked for things with Harriet with pen, paper, published, ink, anything dealing with writing, because it would have been a lot of letter writing back and forth. Let's see, Eliza Lucas Pinckney was the one that planted all the indigo. Eliza Lamb Pinckney was the first one. So Lamb and Lucas were the names we were looking for there. I think that about covers all the bases. 22 and 45 we talked about. 6 and 13 though, like that's going to be my puzzle of what actually came up here. It could have been the date of the fire. Very interesting. The other thing I was hoping for tonight was more about Eliza, because tomorrow is her birthday, December 28th. So, I was hoping for more to come up out of that, but like maybe birthday itself, because tomorrow is her birthday. The number 28 would have been relevant. The number 12 would have been relevant, because obviously, and then the number 22, because she was born in 1722, died in 1793, just before her birthday. So, any other terms come up on that, Jackson?
He's got underbook.
Yeah, let me take a look. Book, orientation, able.
It just turned my feet on. I don't know if they did it.
Still nothing super relevant. I don't know what that means. As
Heard
far
anything?
as under book, like what would be under a book? That's just a weird, random set of phrasing. I have no idea.
Listen to the story.
So the next location we're going to go to is about 3 blocks away. It is a little bit of a hike. I want the Spirit Box teams to be listening for names. I'm not going to tell you what names, so even the words on yours, Jackson. No more tricks, for me anyway. And I'm not going to tell you what gender either, so male or female. Once we get there, you'll reveal to me if you've heard any names, and then I'll explain why I'm looking for those once we get there. I also like to explain what type of ghost we've been dealing with at each location. This one is an intelligent ghost. We ask questions, they give us answers. The next place is not like that at all. It's called a residual ghost, where basically it's like watching a movie over and over and over again. We are in, I'll explain when we get there, but we're on a 7-week rotation of when I get specific evidence out of that place. We're in the 3rd week right now. So am I expecting anything? Not necessarily, but it doesn't mean that something won't pop up. You'll keep your cameras off until we get to Lodge Alley. Once we get in there, by all means, turn your cameras back on, get us some footage. It's just a quick stop. You guys are in Charleston, you need to see some cobblestones, and it kind of lays out the rest of the land for you for the rest of the tour after that. So keep listening to your Spirit Boxes. I'm going to ignore my EMF meter because the parking meters do make it go off. So again, I just ignore it until I'm in other spaces. So let's go see what we can capture. Yeah, you can listen along the way. Okay.
Madison.
Yeah, watch your step. Number 64. You have to remember, your Spirit Box is slow. So it's going to pick up words before and after.
Yeah, I got it.
For example, like what color is the big red barn? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We don't need Rudolph the We need So is this what you guys were hoping for?
We've done a few tours around years. We've been to Charleston.
But you can see the challenges here faced by the New Orleans Saints defense as far as this RPO game that the Miami Dolphins featured. You see there, Tua Tagovailoa, look, he has to make great decisions. He could have ended it off.
What's going on with the Old Charleston City Structure? Is it under remodel now, or?
We're doing renovations to it. What I understand, it's going to turn into an office.
When we were there, we did our tour. We had like architect school or something down.
And we're doing like investigational tours, similar to what we're doing here. It's not in depth like that. Like they had EMF meters and some lasers and that's about it. They were putting people inside jail cells to let them feel like what it was like to be in one of the small they were charging $80 to $90, I think, for an hour. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna go straight on the block. Just want to make sure we had everybody.
We did the night tour at the Yorktown last time we were here.
Probably did that with Bruce. Bruce is an excellent author. Runs some of the tours. Like he was doing some of the jail investigations, and he was doing the Yorktown investigation nights. Bruce is a great guy. Don't get me wrong, but they don't go in depth. Like I'm a private company, you know, they're more corporate. I just think when you come to a place like this, you've done the same things over and over and over again. So I created this. I was like, how different can I make it for? So, how's your word list coming, man?
I got next, North, Madison,
Madison.
Yep.
Name. Does it say north? No, we're heading south. We're gonna make it right here. You can go ahead and start your camera and get us a little bit of footage in here. So I kind of give you guys the history of what this place actually is. So when we crossed that last crosswalk, we basically walked into the old Charlestown, the walled city. That's where the wall used to be. It went up Cumberland Street. This is one of the first streets we ever had. So with that, people used to live here. I have the full list of residents of everybody that's ever lived here. So we didn't get any specific names that I can remember off the top of my head from the list. Did the two of you hear any other names?
I didn't name it. I thought her was Sanders. There's a. I could have heard some other names. I can't hear very.
Okay.
I cut trees for 30 years and I run chainsaws. And
Yeah.
My ear's not the
I'm
best.
gonna trade him.
Yeah, because I can't hear what the lady on the GPS is saying.
Gotcha. Fair
This
enough.
might not be my thing.
Maine?
Pain?
I'm sure there was some pain going on down here.
Yeah.
So that full list of residents, the names I normally get are Benjamin and John. These sound like very common names, but that's 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801. Now, why am I getting those same names every 7 weeks? I have no idea. I can't find any research on those 2 gentlemen, but it is always the same 2 names every 6 to 7 weeks. So take that for what it's worth. I can't find anything significant about 1801 in Lodge Alley that would have made me hear these 2 names every 6 to 7 weeks. Every once in a while, a third name will pop up. That name is Jane. That is a third person from the list of 5 in 1801. Again, I don't know what the significance of 1801 is in this alley. You're walking on Belgian blocks. They're made out of pure granite. These are original, 1735. Anything that comes straight from the earth, like limestone or granite, they say has the tendency to be part of the stone tape theory, which basically means they're hanging on to the consciousness of memories of things that happened here. That's why I think I get those names every 6 to 7 weeks. The other piece of this alley is, before people lived here, Freemasons had a lodge here, Masonic Lodge, Lodge Alley. That's why it's named Lodge Alley. So Freemasons, terms will come up around that as well. So with that, we'll get Mason, Illuminati, bricks, all kinds of things. Illuminati's shown up a couple of times over the past year, which is a very interesting term to get when I'm standing here. They did do an archaeological dig underneath these bricks, and they did find some of their clothing and some of their silverware, that kind of thing. It makes sense that these people were lower class, and that's how they classified them based on the artifacts that they found, because the other part of the wall was across the street. The smell of low tide was coming right through here. The people down at the Battery or the Pinckneys aren't really going to put up with that. So again, these were shotgun houses, little tiny 1 to 2 room homes, not very big at all. Very poor folks that lived down here. Not many at a time, usually only about 5 to 6, I think is the max that I've seen. And it wasn't for a very long period of time before they started building other things that you're seeing now. So again, take that for what it's worth. Very interesting space. It's not always this lit up, but Magnolia's like they just went through a fire a couple of months ago, so they're still repairing. And it was pretty dark down here, which made that camera over there super fun to watch down this alley. But that one will actually capture some shadows because you'll see some darkened spaces. We are going to walk through this alley pretty slow, so that way we can get some spirit box activity, but we're not going to be asking any questions. We're basically waiting to watch the movie, right? So that's the stone tape theory at its best. We're literally on the edge of where I'm allowed to take you. So when we get to the end of this alley, we're going to turn off the videos. I'll help you out with yours since you just got it. But you're going to tap yours off because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to our next space. We're going to go to another alley, only I cannot take you all the way through it because I've been booted out. You guys joined the annoying group with tours, with all your gizmos and gadgets, and it is residential at the end, and technically I'm not supposed to be there. Other tours, they'll go in and tell the story halfway, and then they come out the same way. So they'll go up half, and then they leave out the same way they came in. It's really pointless for us to do that because we're going to just be in their way. So I still tell the story because we still get a ton of evidence outside the alley. So it's a very interesting space. After that, we're going to see some legends and lore. I'm going to go based off of Jackson's list, whatever's coming up. There's like 15 stories on that corner. So I let the evidence tell me what stories I need to tell you based on what we're actually capturing. And if nothing pops up, we're going to go straight into a female pirate, and that'll be our last stop. The female pirate is Anne Bonny. So if you're a pirates person, this was a lot for me to, like once I got kicked out of Philadelphia Alley, I had to learn the pirate story. And I didn't even believe it until I started getting evidence from it. So we're going to walk slowly as we kind of go through here and get some good footage. And hopefully the spirit boxes will come up with something as well. Have you heard anything since you got it? No, it's hard to hear, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot of scattered radio scans.
Yeah, and that's what we're listening for. So whatever pops through. And then, Allison, have you heard anything? Things for me to dive into to see if they actually legit. Okay. All right, we're going to cut those videos off so we can go to the next. Don't worry, I'll get it all set up for you.
Okay.
The battery's inside.
Okay.
The waterproof case.
Oh, nice cat.
I wish I had to fart.
Hmm?
I want to fart so you can see if it'll like.
What's funny is we had the guys started off listening, and now we got the guys doing all the
Yeah.
video.
You ever had somebody fart on this thing?
Fart?
Yeah, like have you
Oh, I
captured a
haven't
fart?
done that test.
I kinda
Sometimes
got
on
a fart.
videos I see things I probably shouldn't see on that
Oh.
stuff. But I also learned to not listen when I'm watching that, just because people will talk. The skeptics will say some shit about me,
Oh,
and I don't
that
want to hear it.
sucks.
So I turn it on mute and I just watch it.
Oh.
Like I don't want to hear private conversations. I don't, because I mean I've caught where people were. I had one night. This was crazy. The guy it was in this location. I don't know if he was on like a suicide mission, but he was asking the spirits on how to go about it.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, how do I come join you, kind of stuff.
Scary.
Yeah, a little creepy.
Yeah.
The family man.
I just thought I saw some kind of orb go across the screen right here. I was shining up on this one. It could have been a bug.
And it could have been.
But it was something went across that screen, looked like a little, kind of looked round.
Then you might want to definitely stay over there. Just be mindful of two vehicles.
Yeah.
He's getting some interesting words.
Let me take a look.
And I was shining on this wall.
Isaiah's really not a name that's prevalent now.
So, Isaiah would have probably been a great slave name. Most pirates were originally slaves. Pirates were taking over ships that were coming here, and they had slaves on them, so they gave them a choice. You can become part of the crew, because that's more hands, or you can continue on. Most of them stayed pirates. But you also have 2/3 there. So I think, what was the law? Was it 3/5? The 3/5 law? Like,
I got Harriet.
Oh, now we get Harriet. Eliza's daughter.
Really? No. The thing twos and threes came up when I was asking. I was just asking Ann how many husbands did you have? She said twos and threes is what I was going to say.
Well, she never married Calico Jack. Jack tried to buy the dowry from Bonnie, and he refused it.
So
she
she
was-
actually had 3 husbands, not 4.
So it would have been James
Twos
Bonnie,
and
the first
threes.
one. Calico Jack was kind of like the mister, right? And then she remarried again after she came back home to Charles III. So she had 4 lovers: James Bonnie, Calico Jack, Mary Reed, and whatever this new husband was. But only 2 husbands. It's hard for me to keep track. And I tell the damn story every night. 2s and 3s. I like it. And I see cigarettes in your pocket. I don't know. Some people get a little weird about
No,
that.
and I asked her, so which husband did you love the best? Packers. That way
She wanted the freedoms that men.
she wanted to be with everybody.
Well, I think she was more after piracy, which is a great reason. Because piracy, I mean, back then, women were property. They were trying to reach out. She wanted to leave. That was her whole reason for getting into piracy.
Yeah, we actually have a house built on. But we actually have
No.
Dude, come on.
Back at it.
Now you know.
Now you know. Now you know. Now you know.
Free versions of a lot of good apps. I list them all at the top so you guys can do this on your own. So, but I would be really interested to take even his EMF back there and just see if anything pops up. Anything come up out of the dowsing rods when you took them back?
Oh yeah, they'll go off, and it'll even tell you, depending on which way it turns, what sex it is underneath them. And I've taken those same dowel rods over to over the cemetery of the church there, and they're spot on.
I've never used them.
They're awesome.
I
As
take
far
that.
as finding a grave, they're awesome.
I take that back. I was doing an investigation somewhere in town, a little coffee house, and the team I was working with, like they had it set, and I was like, "Do you mind if I handle these just for a minute? I've never used them. I just want to see how they feel." She's like, "By all means, please do." I picked them up, and they immediately crossed. So I said, "Okay, if somebody's keeping an eye on me, open these back up." So,
I say, in order to find a grave, I'll just take one and hold it out straight. And if there's a grave there, it will turn to the right or turn to the left. It will tell you which sex it is. Or it won't move at all. Interesting. And if it moves, yeah, we took them up to Dead Man's Alley, or Dead Man's Road, and the Bloody Angle in Battle Pit. My sister, well, I wasn't going to pull them out. My sister, she thought it was funny. She was going to pull them out. She stepped on the pavement. It was just zoomed.
you look like you got something to spit out. I didn't even catch up.
Encouragement.
Have you heard anything else?
No.
Just straight static?
Yeah. Well, the stuff that you can't tell what they're saying.
And yours is the one that's recording, correct? You have the little red tag? Yeah. So that'll be the one that I go through. That's how I keep track of which one it is which. It's that little red tag. Any other orbs coming out of you, Scotty?
No, not really. I haven't really seen anything. And I had an interest in that corner, but
Alan,
this
anything?
is where I saw the orb at. Like,
Okay, I'll definitely have to watch that video. It's nice because it segments it into 9-minute little pieces.
Was there a building right here?
So this building was attached to the powder magazine. In between the different wars it was serving, they turned it into either office buildings or mercantile, a textile. So if you notice, there's also the bricks that looked like it was a roof.
Yeah.
So it was obviously part of that building. These are all apartments now. So
Okay.
that's why we're still kind of being still and quiet so that we were not disturbing neighbors. But again, these are earthquake bolts too. You see those
Yeah.
huge squares? Those are going through the floors
Okay.
of all those. So again, they're just for show. Part of Charleston charm. You walk around and you see the lion heads and the pineapples and all that. They're just there for show. All right, and Beverly and I were talking, so I'm sure she wasn't hearing anything specific. Any
I'm
other
not
terms
hearing
coming up on you, buddy?
Acquisition.
This spot is a hit or miss, and I hate to be the big finale here, but when it's a finale, it's a lot of stuff. Like, there's a lot that comes through. And we're still near Philadelphia Alley, so I still listen for clues around that. This is actually where I caught that 59 last night. If you guys scroll down after you're going through your data and look at theirs, that's where you'll see how I piece everything together, too, for them.
They got a lot of different names all over.
Yeah, I'm going to look at that Ron. Like, that one's interesting to me because that was Lodge
Yeah, a
Alley
Tom, a Madison, a Megan, a Johnny.
area. Yeah, but Johnny's interesting just because of John Calico Jack. But I have had the word Calico and Jack show up here in the same night. So that was always fun. Alright, well, since you guys aren't giving me anything, and I was actually expecting more out of you, so if you're not getting anything, I say we wrap up this party.